One part of the book that was very interesting to me was this story of Daniel Suelo, I think his name is. I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about Daniel and his philosophy of life, just to give us an example. I guess removing all. I'll let you take the reins.
I forget the details of where I first read his story. Well, I know where I read his story. I was in an airport in Charlotte, and for some reason, an article popped up about Daniel Suelo, the man who quit money. And his story, he lives up in Utah, and his whole story is that he quit money in a phone booth. I think he put all of his money and he walked away, and he went out, and his goal was to live with having no money. And so he did some foraging and some dumpster diving and like grew some food. I forget all the details about where he ate, but basically he chose to live with no money. But there was an email address for him. And so like just trying to map out how does this work, So I sent an email. I'd been writing about minimalism and owning less, and here's this guy, and he decided to live with no money whatsoever. And I'm like, I gotta talk to him. And so I email him, and he emails me back, and lo and behold, he visits a public library once a week or so, and is able to use the computer and access his email. And so I'm like, man, I just want to interview you, for my blog. And so he shared a little bit about his story and some of his views about money and why he was doing what he was doing, part environmental in nature, part spiritual in nature, part just trying to challenge societal norms and expectations of what we need to live a happy life. And so that's his story. He lives without money. And I a combination of, I think he lives out in a cave, lives out in the wilderness, and also has some friends that let him stay, I suppose, during the winter or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's a fascinating story. And I told him when I interviewed him, I'm like, most people aren't going to go do what you're doing, but can you just share what you've learned in a way that can help a pretty typical person who's not going to leave all their money in a phone booth and go live in the cave.
And did he have a takeaway that really resonated with you?
I walked away even a little more convinced that we don't need as much money as we think we need. It probably helps solidify some of this assumption of how much do we need to feel secure and how much money do we need to live a happy, meaningful life. He made a great comment one time. He said, money only exists because two people believe it does. Otherwise, it's just a sheet of paper. And the only value is the fact that you value this sheet of paper. I don't know if it was economically true all the way, although it probably was the way we do money nowadays. It's only there because you want it, and you'll trade whatever you have so you can get more of it. And so, certainly some helpful principles and ideas there.
Yeah, I like the example because, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like to look at the extremes and then try to find this sort of magic middle for myself. So I think of, although I appreciate what Daniel is doing, that's a bit extreme for somebody like myself with a wife and two kids and a home and responsibilities that I need to attend to. But then I also see the opposite extreme of maybe the father that's working 100-hour weeks and doesn't see his family at all and prides himself on the nice car and the more. So I guess as we're looking at it, Daniel Suelo and the 100-hour work week man, how do we find that magic middle? Or how would you find that magic middle, Joshua?
I don't think there are easy answers to it. I think that this brings in a lot of other conversations and a lot of different factors. There's a whole chapter in the book about work and viewing work correctly. I'm not saying we all stop working and just be content with what we have, because I think that work, when we view work is love. Like, I do what I'm good at, you do what you're good at, you do this podcast that helps people figure out their money and teaches these principles so that they can go do what they're good at and have what they need at home. And so I'm not saying that we all stop working. I'm saying that we view work differently, and I don't turn down a pay raise if someone gives it to me. When we serve other people well is when we get compensated for it. So all that to say, a lot of different factors. I think probably I'll give two first steps. When I transitioned into writing full-time, my wife and I sat down and we listed out every fixed expense that we had. What was the mortgage payment? What was health insurance going to be? What was the food that we needed for the family of four? What are utilities? Like, just this is how much we spend every single month. If we cut out all the frivolous things, this is how much money we need to get by. This was 10 years ago, and it was $4,000 a month. And it became a little bit of a magic number for us, where, okay, if we make 48,000 a year, that is enough for us to get by. It doesn't mean we get to go on super nice vacations. I don't even know if it means we get to keep cable, but we can get by on this amount of money. And I think it was a really helpful process just to say, okay, I don't have to strive to make more money than this if this is all that I need to get by. So that's the first thing that I would encourage people to do. And then the second thing is to give some money away and to do it consistently. Honestly, I think the greatest benefit of generosity to our lives is the realization that we already have enough. I would encourage anybody, I don't know how many of your listeners are probably giving to charity, probably a good portion already. But if you don't give anything, give away $5 a week. Like, just find a charity, give away $5 a week. You'll find at the end of every week that you still have food, you still have shelter, you still have clothing. You had $5 extra every single week that you could give away, and you could still provide for your family up at to 10. Or if you're giving away some money, give away $5 extra, whatever it might be. Because I think when you start doing that consistently, you start realizing, hey, not only do I have enough coming in to survive, I have enough coming in that I can actually give some away. And then, of course, you can fall into the trap of, well, let's go make more money so I can give away more, which never works out that way. But, hopefully the learning is, you know what? Why do I have to fight for a job raise? Why do I have to take on a side hustle? Why do I have to sacrifice more hours a week away from my family when in actuality, I have enough that I can even give some away?
I love that. And you talked a bit about finding work that calls to your heart, that serves, that gives back. Now, somebody's listening right now and they're saying, I am doing work. I might not be doing that type of work that makes me feel like I'm serving or giving back to others, but I want to in the future. What's a step that they could take, whether it's today or over the next years, to move towards work that maybe feels more meaningful and of service?
Your first step is to reevaluate the job that you currently have and begin to see it not as the thing you do for the paycheck, but how does my work benefit other people? Because in almost every scenario, you don't love every aspect of your job. Maybe you don't love all of the values of the board, whatever it might be. In your specific position, what you're doing is helping other people. You're providing customer support to someone. You're leading a team of people. You're developing a technology. You're dentist. You're landscaper. You're driving truck. Like, what you are doing is helping people, almost certainly. And when you can put your finger on, okay, I'm a cashier at the grocery store. Well, what I do is I help the farmer get food from the field to this family's table, and I help that family give the money to the farmer so that he can support his family. Like, begin to see that connection. And I think that you'll find a little more value in your work. And that doesn't mean that you have to keep doing your job for the rest of your life. But I wouldn't say hold off until you think you find your perfect dream job, because there are no perfect dream jobs. Even roses have thorns. And some things that you're always going to have to be doing are stuff that you don't necessarily want to be doing. But don't hold your joy till that moment. Find it today, and find the selfless nature of the work that you're doing and how it benefits others, and then get up in the morning and go serve others through your work, rather than just trying to get the paycheck to buy the stuff.
I love that because it talks about what we can do today. And really, there's a lot of times where people think, well, I'm going to get it in 10 years. I'm going to get it in 20 years. Then I'll be happy. It's up to us and our mindset that we go into each day for us to work on that happiness. And I know you talked about that it's not a magic switch. It's something that you're still practicing on a daily basis for somebody who's writing books about this and writing blogs about it. It's a daily practice. I liken it to gratitude, where you go into each day, and maybe you've got a negative mindset or something that's happened today, and it feels, this bad, this day is horrible. But if we keep practicing gratitude, keep practicing what we do have in our lives, it becomes that much easier. Maybe not solved, but that much easier. Joshua, this book is fantastic. I've had a chance to enjoy my week listening to it on my walks. Tell people more about it and where they can get it.
The new book is called Things That Matter: Overcoming Distraction to Pursue a More Meaningful Life. I think when most people hear the book title, they think, oh, good, because I need to put my phone away. And there is a chapter on technology and how the trivial becomes a distraction. But certainly, I would think based on this conversation, people realize it goes into much deeper topics than just putting the phone away. It questions the role that the possessions, the value that we put on possessions and money, fame, accolades, leisure. There's even chapters on fear and past mistakes and regret. We did a nationwide study to kind of discover what some of these are. 77% of people say that they spend time and resources on things that are a distraction from things that actually matter in their life. And so I like to think the book applies to 77% of the population. So that would be wonderful. And it's available everywhere. Can certainly be found. I should have asked when you're going to air this because I do before we start. But I just saw someone just sent me a photo of a Barnes and Noble, and Things That Matter was on the great gifts for grads table. That was kind of a new thing to me when the book came out, and people started saying, hey, this would be a great book for 18-year-olds to read. And I always say it's a great book for all of us to read, but you're right. It is a great book for anyone of any age.
Joshua, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.